pack made up these venison and ground pork burgers. We don't always do ground pork, but we have a bunch of it right now, and it is really nice. And with red meat, I love it. And then this is a red pepper Gouda. Not everybody likes cheese on their burgers, so I just did it on some of them. These are massive burgers too. I can't put my hand close enough, but they're big ones. I don't actually have buns tonight because we don't always do buns because they need to be sourdough, or I just don't eat a bun. We're doing lettuce wraps because we have so much lovely lettuce. When you use lettuce, you can eat more meat. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but in the very bottom of the frames, actually I think you can. In the bottom, there's like what looks like little grains of rice. Praise the Lord, the queen is laying eggs. I don't know where she is, I haven't found her yet, but I just went through the whole bottom box and into the second box before I even found eggs in this one frame, and I'm just so excited. So we put a queen in the bottom box a good few days ago, and I didn't manage to get in here because it was pouring rain. And so today, Marius was like, hey, it's sunny, you need to go check the bees. So I quickly threw on my suit and ran out here. And yeah, she got out okay. This thing is blocked with like a sugar candy thing, and the other bees slowly eat it out over a few days as they get used to her pheromones and such, and then hopefully they don't reject her. So I'm gonna see if I can find the queen. Oh, my hands are. But the fact that I saw eggs, I am happy with that. Bees like to glue up all their cracks, so literally every frame you have to pry apart. This one has eggs too, just the starting of eggs. I dropped a frame the other day. That made for a bunch of happy bees, as you can imagine. Okay, so I would guess the queen is somewhere on this frame because this one has some eggs, but not a lot. Where? I don't know. I'm honestly not even gonna try and find her. There's eggs, I'm happy with that. Because bees work up and there was almost no bees or anything in the bottom box, and they were working really heavy in the middle box, and that's where she was laying eggs, I swapped it around and I put the one that was heavy with honey and she was laying brood at the bottom, the one that's kind of empty here, and then this is the original top box. So we'll see how that goes for them. So even though it looks nice and sunny today, the amount of things there is for the bees to eat right now is really not very much, but it's still warm enough they're not hibernating. I keep my bee suit on until I get a little farther away. So I think I might have to start feeding them soon, which kind of sucks. I also think we're not pulling any honey this year. They only have just enough for themselves, which is fine as long as they can get themselves through winter. But the thing is, if they're still active, but they're not hibernating, they're still active, but there's nothing to eat, so they're not hibernating, they're gonna eat up all their own stores. And also bees like to be busy. Bees like a job to do. So by feeding them, it gives them something to do and keeps them out of trouble. So I might end up needing to do that pretty soon. Hello, goaties. You're just eating it down in here so good. I'm just so impressed. Don't touch the fence. Or touch the fence, that works too. Marius is making fish tacos for dinner, and I'm making sourdough tortillas, which is not a one-handed job. We're having friends over for dinner too, and he's using halibut. You can find the recipe on my Instagram page. It's in a reel. It's called Max Fish Batter, I think, or something like that. It's Mare's dad's recipe, and the sourdough tortillas are on venisonfordinner.com. They are so delicious. It seems like a good idea to just turn a whole milking, what's left after we feed the calf, so this was 4 gallons, into quark. Hey Rowan, you're okay, it's cold outside. You don't want to go right now. Until you now have to strain it. This is a lot of cheese to strain. So I have a big bowl, a huge strainer, and I'm gonna get it going in here. I might need to do it in 2 different cheesecloths. Do you want to help me scoop the cheese? So to make this quark or chèvre, bovril, soft cream cheese. Yesterday morning, Mac just brought me what was left from milking after feeding the calves, which was about 4 gallons. This is way now. And I added a little bit of clabber culture and with cheese to make cheese, yeah, and a little bit of rennet. This recipe is on venisonfordinner.com. Then I just left it in the bucket in the corner of the kitchen for 24 hours, and then now we're straining it and have it straining in 2 batches. Each is about 2 gallons worth of curds. And this will make about 1 gallon of cream cheese. I really shouldn't have made such a big batch. It's kind of obnoxious to deal with, but you know, yesterday's Kate wasn't thinking of today's Kate. And cream cheese freezes well. I'll just freeze it in pint jars. And this is my coffee, Rowan. I'll freeze it in pint jars. Y'all ready for this? Nee, 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 nee. This is a lot to put up there, by the way. So this is Synergy Animal Products. They are essential oil and herbal tincture mastitis treatment. And since Jessa still got lingering issues, we decided to try this on her. I had to special order it in, but cost-wise, it actually works out to cost less than antibiotics, which is pretty cool. This is a lot to get up there, 60 mils. I realized afterwards I should have done just 30 mils, and because I was using 2 different ones, and I should have just bounced back and forth, like done one milking, one the other milking. But I did both at one time. Next time would not do that. Normally, Synergy's products are just 30 mils, but they recommended doing 2 different ones for Jessa, so 60 mils. We're gonna hit it hard. What's interesting though is up front it feels like a really expensive bottle of stuff to buy. However, works out to I think about $85 Canadian for 16 doses. And you give 3 doses to a cow. This Spectromass LC, which is like today or whatever, is $120 for 12 doses, and you give minimum 4 doses. So it's actually cheaper, even though it feels like a lot more because you're only buying this bottle and you're like, this is a lot of dollars. And the biggest thing is there's no milk dump with this. With Spectromass, so if you treat for 2 days, you're then dumping for 6 days. If you treat for 3 days, you're dumping for 7 days. No milk dump. How fun is that? So, let's get these cows out before they poop in here. Honestly, I feel that the homeopathics basically took care of it for Jessa. She hasn't had gunk in a while, but we just want to be like so certain because Klebsiella can just really ruin a cow. So we are not taking chances. I should say herd. Klebsiella can ruin your entire herd. It's very contagious. Can get spread from cows so easily. Had another point here that I want to talk about. Oh, there's a good chance that giving all this stuff to Jessa is going to make her flush a bunch of gunk out, but that actually means it's working. So I almost would be happy to see a bunch of stuff be flushed out. Synergy products are no dump. So like if I gave antibiotics in 1 quarter, I have to dump all the milk, all quarters. But Synergy products are no dump. But I still decided to just milk the front 2 because only one of her back ones works, remember? So I'm gonna milk the front 2 and then I'm gonna put this milk, because Clover's milk is in here too, in my milk bucket to bring to the house, and then milk out the back one to feed the calf because I wanna make cheese. And I'm sure for just drinking it'd be fine, but there's some pretty strong herbals in there that I feel like could mess with aging my cheese. And I feel like if you weren't making cheese, I wouldn't have an issue with not dumping it. Or if you had a pile of cows, it'd be so diluted. But with only 2 cows and wanting to make an aged cheese, I feel like I'm just kind of playing with things there. So we're just doing it this way. I did start stripping Jessa. Let's see if I can. I just was milking the back quarter, then I realized I would just machine milk the 1 quarter. There, like a good chunk came out, and that's the thing about giving a treatment like this is that it's going to make junk come out. So I'm interested to see. I'm going to filter it too to see what sort of junk comes out. It's kind of awkward to just milk out 1, kind of just standing here. holding it out of the way. Look at all the junk that flushed out. Like there's a big goober there. So much satisfying junk. You see some mushrooms, Ron?
Any bleach? I haven't seen a single bleach in here yet. You guys?
Are you just here for the snacks? It ended up being a way longer ride than I thought to up here, like way longer drive. But we've been listening to Little Britches. We're on, I don't know, book 4 maybe, Fields of Home. So driving and look at these beautiful roads to get to, there's like, we don't have cedar trees and such around us, except for in this one area up high, there's randomly a bunch of cedar trees. So I call it the Enchanted Forest. And we listened to Little Britches and had a nice little Sunday drive, and now looking for mushrooms, but there isn't really any. And yes, you pack out here. There's a lot of bears.
I looked it up and bring it home and look again.
Let me see. Riker?
What I read, they... Yeah.
Dude, why'd you mind mushrooms longer?
Do you know what kind it is?
This is an alpine cheese. It's cultured with clabber, and it's got rennet. This is this morning's milking and last night's milking. And I cut the curds with a whisk to make nice small curds. Don't be afraid of using your hand in cheese making. It's a really great tool to know how they feel. You're not going to ruin your cheese by having your hand in there. Just wash your hands well. You're a grown-up. You should know how to wash your hands well. I added mustard seeds to yesterday's alpine wheel. I'm excited to see how that goes. We have all these different vegetable ferments that Marius has been doing. Just so many interesting things. And then he is working on quail eggs for his pickled quail eggs. They're the cutest little things. And here's his brine. He made a bigger batch and some of it's just in a jar. It's just a pickle brine. He's using one from Ruth Ann Zim on Instagram. In the oven, we have a pan of roasted potatoes, cookie bars, and muffins that I just bake as a loaf. I was always taught to take the rings off for storing canning jars. This way I don't have to have so many rings because I buy a lot of used jars and they don't come with rings most of the time, or the rings get old or rusty. So I always take the ring off and then lift it up by the lid to make sure the seal is nice and good and can store well.
Jessa! Clover! Jessa! Clover! Jessa!
We better go find them.
Yeah, let's walk them. Let me, Mom. Let me.
You gotta go behind her.
Hey, Jessa! Jessa! Yeah, let's walk down.
Yeah, you go behind her. And clap your hands. Say, come on, cow.